Stay informed about the latest developments in cryptocurrency, politics, technology, and beyond with News Source Crawlers edition covering the period from August 18, 2025 to August 25, 2025.
Japan Post stops forcing delivery staff to ride bicycles as punishment. France's postal service rolls out croissants scented stamp. In the US, lawyer caught using AI while explaining to court why he used AI.
Amazon's DNS problem knocked out half the web, likely costing billions. Jaguar Land Rover cyberattack nears £2 billion in UK's costliest hack. In the US, FCC cracks down on Chinese electronics, as US retailers remove millions of devices over national security concerns.
OpenAI cracks down on Sora 2 deepfakes after pressure from Bryan Cranston, SAG-AFTRA. Indonesia's film industry embraces AI to make Hollywood-style movies for cheap. Japan asks OpenAI not to infringe on irreplaceable manga and anime content.
Waymo plans to bring driverless robot access to London in 2026. Amazon plans to replace more than 500,000 jobs with robots. Miami is testing a self-driving police car that can launch drones. China bans research company that helped unearth Huawei's use of TSMC tech despite U.S. bans. Tech Insights added to unreliable entity list by state authorities. Jensen Huang says Nvidia went from 95% market share in China to 0%. I can't imagine any policymaker thinking that that's a good idea. Braving Trump. Apple's Tim Cook promises to boost China investment.
France and Spain call on EU to uphold 2035 combustion engine ban. Fossil fuels to dominate global energy use past 2050, McKinsey says. Plug-in hybrids pollute almost as much as petrol cars, report finds.
Hackers say they have personal data of thousands of NSA and other government officials. China accuses U.S. of cyber attack on National Time Center. NPR reports that a classified network of SpaceX satellites is emitting a mysterious signal. Sony shocks Wall Street. Tech giant seeks U.S. bank license to issue its own stablecoin. From 2028, EU expands USB-C mandate to chargers. Alibaba's Singles Day shows faster growth as 80 brands hit $14 million in an hour.
IMF warns about soaring global government debt. S&P cuts France's credit rating as it forecasts higher debt pile. China's youth jobless rate falls slightly but remains high after record graduation season, as China bids to break job market curse of 35 as it raises civil service age cap. In the UK, government told to prepare for 2°C warming by 2050. Coral die-off marks Earth's first climate tipping point, scientists say. China's wind firms aim to double new turbine installations over next 5 years.
USA's DOJ, chairman of Prince Group indicted for operating Cambodian forced labor scam compounds engaged in cryptocurrency fraud schemes, and Department of Justice files largest ever forfeiture action against approximately $15 billion in Bitcoin currently in U.S. custody. In France, thieves steal treasured jewelry from Louvre in 7-minute daylight heist.
China's Commerce Ministry switches official document attachments to homegrown WPS format, sparking heated online discussions. Financial Times comments as, Trump's tariffs hand surprise win to London Metal Exchange over New York rival. Financial Times comments as, China is well positioned for a trade showdown with Trump, as reportedly China imports no U.S. soybeans in September for first time in 7 years. Previously, Trump says threatened tariffs on China, not sustainable. The Pope urges vigilance about who controls AI. Reportedly, independent newspapers disappear as private investment firms take over. Almost 70% of U.S. adults would be deemed obese based on new definition, study finds.
New York Times report that Trump said to demand Justice Department pay him $230 million for past cases, and Trump refiles his $15 billion defamation lawsuit against the New York Times. Harvard FAS cuts Ph.D. seats by more than half across next 2 admissions cycles. TMZ stands by story after White House denial, Trump considering commuting Diddy's sentence, possibly this week. Previously, White House official pushes back on report that Trump is considering pardoning Sean Diddy Combs. Santos is released after Trump commutes his sentence. Bloomberg comments as, Germany's MERS leans into far-right messaging to counter AfD. Washington Post reports that, Trump refugee plan seeks 7,000 Afrikaners, and virtually no one else. Netherlands curtails intelligence sharing with U.S. over human rights.
French ex-President Sarkozy begins jail sentence for campaign finance conspiracy. Prince Andrew gives up his Duke of York title as Epstein allegations refuse to fade. Also U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi ordered to explain Ghislaine Maxwell prison move. 2 months ago, Epstein victims claim cover-up as Maxwell moved to low-security prison.
Sanai Takaichi wins historic vote to become Japan's first female prime minister. Colombia's leader accuses U.S. of murder, prompting Trump to halt aid as Trump calls Colombia's Petro an illegal drug leader and announces tariffs and an end to U.S. aid. Previously, Trump administration strikes a seventh alleged drug boat, killing 3, Hegseth says. Reuters reports that U.S. returning Caribbean strike survivors to Colombia and Ecuador, Trump says. New York Times reports that nations hesitate to send troops to Gaza, fearing clashes with Hamas, and Trump vows to eradicate Hamas as fragile Gaza truce resumes. It has been reported as EU closes in on deal to use Russian frozen assets to fund Ukraine, and European leaders back Ukraine's ceasefire proposal at current contact line. Bloomberg comments as Trump casts new doubt on Ukraine's ability to defeat Russia, as Donald Trump urged Volodymyr Zelensky to accept Putin's terms or be destroyed by Russia. Reportedly, Trump rejects Zelensky on Tomahawk missiles in tough meeting, and after Zelensky meeting, Trump calls on Ukraine and Russia to stop where they are and end the war.
Trump reposts AI-generated video of plane dumping sludge on No Kings protesters. Previously, Trump posts wild AI video showing him flying fighter jet, dropping sewage on No Kings protesters as, "I'm not a king." Trump says ahead of nationwide No Kings protests. The White House joins Blue Sky and instantly becomes the second most blocked account, after J.D. Vance, and Trump calls No Kings protests a joke. "I work my ass off." U.S. news outlets refuse to sign new Pentagon rules to report only official information. Also, Hegseth changes policy on how Pentagon officials communicate with Congress.
The White House announces fact sheet. President Donald J. Trump closes billion-dollar deals with Australia, including a gallium refinery. Financial Times reports that Saudi Arabia in talks for U.S. defense pact. Financial Times reports that U.S. Army taps private equity groups to help fund $150 billion revamp.